Hold on, let me put my headphones on. Just getting ready to head out. We're about to go do a little tour of 3 different nurseries here in Bogota, Colombia. We're about to stop at like an indoor plant spot, an outdoor balcony plant spot, and then a box store to see all of the different offerings that these places have. So stick along, join me as we do this little tour. Hold on, let me get my hat. It looks like it's about to rain. I got my waterproof shoes, and all right, so our first spot that we're going to check out is an indoor plant spot. So stay tuned and see what they have on store. So one of the first things that struck my eyes was this Plumeria. I could not believe, it's not a very warm city, but this Plumeria right here is in full bloom right next to this other tropical hibiscus. Now, I get a lot of questions. Oh, Colombia must be very tropical, but because we're such an elevated up here, it very rarely gets above 65, 70 degrees. So all of these plants would basically be growing all year round outside at a very gentle pace. I have only seen Bougainvillea a couple of times, but here it's looking quite good. So let's do a little tour of this beautiful little nursery. I just actually purchased a plant that we're going to be bringing back to our apartment. So I'll show you guys what I actually picked out. So some of my favorite plants that I have been seeing as I travel across Colombia with Samantha are a lot of the different aroids, but I've also seen a lot of gorgeous ficus. I rarely see ficus that are growing so beautifully as they are here with this thick, robust foliage. Here you can see I used to have this plant when I was living in Seattle, but it just never did well. Here they look quite happy. And then, like I was saying, Philodendrons Monstera, all sort of like the aroid family, Araceae family plants, do exceptionally well in Colombia. When we were in Medellin, we got to see them growing out in the wild. When we were in the coffee region, growing out in the wild, so beautiful. Here you can see this gorgeous philodendron, and I think in America this would probably go for like 40 or 50 bucks. Here it's a solid $7. So the price differential is it's such a huge price differential because they're not paying for heating out here. They're very, very rarely paying for much in terms of water. So it's a very inexpensive it's a very inexpensive way to grow plants here in Colombia. So as we tour these nurseries, you'll get a really good sense of the plants that do exceptionally well here. All of the Alocasias, I was blessed to see this growing out in the wild when we were in the coffee region. So absolutely gorgeous. And then Anthurium grow all over the place. The iconic, super iconic black Anthurium is native to a little bit north of here in Bogota. And Anthurium, such fantastic varieties that I've seen growing all around here. It's so fun to watch. So I saw this out of the corner of my eye. What I've been noticing are the Cocodama are becoming quite popular here in Colombia. I really haven't seen much in stateside, but here they're super popular because basically what they have done is they wrap the roots in this cocoa fiber, and then the way that they actually water it, they'll submerge the bottom half in water for about 5 minutes, and they'll do that about once a week. And then if you're curious how do the topmost roots get watered, well then you kind of give it an extra little watering on top, but they are so phenomenal. Look at this philodendron, absolutely stunning in this Cocodama. And the cool thing is, if you have kind of a smaller apartment, having it in the Cocodama is definitely going to inhibit its ability to get quite large. If you had this in a large container, it would get easily 3 feet around. But because it is wrapped up like this, it's going to stay nice and compact and super cute, if you ask me. All right, so you see me cheesing over here, and this is because I found this amazing plant here. This is easily the crown jewel of this gorgeous little nursery, and of course, it's what we are going to be going home with. It's some sort of Camouflage Syngonium. I'm not totally sure what species or what cultivar or hybrid it is, so if you know better than I do, please leave a comment below so I can figure it out. If you want to guess how much this was, let me do the little translation. It was just under $10. That's all for this gorgeous plant. And so the other way that they keep the prices down for plants here is they really just grow things in plastic bags like this. It's easy, it's portable. I'm going to put it in a prettier pot anyway, so having it in this black plastic bag is really, I don't know, user friendly. Alright, so one thing I love walking around the streets here in Bogota, and you'll stumble upon little nurseries just on the side of the road. You can see there's tons of traffic out here. We're on a pretty busy highway, pretty busy roadway, and then there's this gorgeous little nursery. Let's do a little bit of a tour, show you guys what a nursery looks like here in Bogota, Colombia. One of the most popular plants is, of course, the pelargonium, all of the geraniums. So many people have balconies here, and most people have at least one geranium. So plants like the geranium or fuchsia, petunias, osteospermum, they're often going to bloom all year round. Something that I really rarely see are is lavender. Here you can see this is a dentata because the foliage has these like tooth-like look about them. Dentata, dentist, dental, tooth, as of course you can guess. I love seeing all the vibrant colors. They just have everything just stacked in close together, and the way that they take care of everything, they just spray it all down at the same time. Because we're like 8,800 feet above sea level here in the mountains, everything dries out really quickly. It also gets a lot of rain, but you can see there's no real roof. It's like a plastic covering. Some of the areas have just simply the netting. Over here, they're definitely watering all of these plants. So another super popular plant here in Bogota is the tropical hibiscus, of course. You'll find this growing along every major roadway, along condominiums, apartment buildings. They grow about 20 feet tall here, and generally no one ever cuts them back, so they're a little bit strung out, a little bit wangly, gangly, but they're always in bloom, so many gardens have them. This is a personal favorite. I got to see these growing outside in the mountains of Colombia a few months ago, and they were actually growing outside in the ground. I had never seen that before. So when you see that Scheffeleras and Dracaenas are all growing outside here, it really gives you a good clue as to what sort of plant palette is capable of thriving here, as well as cordylines and Dieffenbachias, philodendrons. All of these plants do amazing, exceptionally well here in Bogota. So while I do thoroughly love all the plants, my favorite thing about nurseries here is all of the terracotta pottery. I love, you've seen my pots that I have at home. They're all very decorous, very beautiful pots. But in America, a pot like this would be like 100, 150 bucks. Here it's like $6. They're all handmade from clay nearby, very inexpensive. And they all have a lot of these gorgeous color and design work. I've never had a video about the fiddle leaf fig. It's not because I don't love them, I just never have grown one. Here, they look so superb. I might have to finally get one when I get home. We'll see. such a wide array of the Flamingo flower Anthuriums here too. Do you guys remember when I saw the black leaf, black flower Anthuriums in outside of Medellin, Bogota, Medellin, Colombia? Well, they're starting to make them a little bit more accessible at nurseries like this. So this is definitely a plant. Oh, you hear that loud truck? This is definitely a plant that I would love to bring back with me if I could. Wow, I didn't notice this on the first time around. This looks like a gorgeous little amaryllis. When I was here at Christmas time, amaryllis were blooming all over the place. Here, a lot of times you'll find them growing right in the ground. Bogota is actually quite well known for its amaryllis, and I've seen a number of amaryllis varieties named after Bogota in particular. So out of all of these plants, are you wondering, what did I pick out? What did I buy today? Let me show you. Check this baby out. What I love about these Rex Begonias, you change the angle a little bit and the whole color starts to just kind of evolve a little bit. Reds and greens and silvers and chocolate browns. Such a beautiful plant. I've never had a Rex Begonia before, so I'm super thrilled to finally get to test one out. Unfortunately, it's only for a few weeks before I have to head back to Pennsylvania. But for now, I'm quite happy. So we're gonna go try to find another nursery, give a little bit more perspective on some of the different nurseries, viveros here in Bogota, so stick around. All right, so we are continuing our little tour of nurseries here in Bogota, and our third and final spot is a big box store. Now, I gotta admit, I don't do a lot of plant shopping at big box stores. I do definitely go for containers and soil and such, but I wanted to show you a little bit of the similarities and differences between a big box store here in Bogota, Colombia, versus like your average, you know, big orange signed box store back in the United States. So one of the cool things is, like I had been saying previously, basically everyone lives in apartments. So all of the plants are catered to apartment living and or kind of like small little grassy areas outside of apartment buildings. So one of the really sweet things that I noticed here are a lot of these bonsais. These ones in particular caught my attention. These are Calamandin orange bonsais, and you can recognize the citrus by the fragrant flowers. And of course the little fruit. Where is the fruit? Here's some fruit forming on them right here. Check that out. Come over here. So as I had been mentioning earlier, the Cocodama is really hot right now here in Bogota. I've been here for the last 4 months, so I don't know, maybe it's a trend right now. It's back in the United States. So I'm actually kind of excited to see if I find them when I get back home. So something that is really cool, if you remember, I was saying that the temperate weather here allows a lot of plants to bloom all year round. So for us in America, you'll find like certain things that are in bloom at your box stores in May versus July or August, September. But here you'll kind of find all of them blooming together at the same time, which is pretty cool. So this is a really sweet flowering vine, Clarodendron. This is actually going to vine up kind of wherever. I hadn't seen this before until I had traveled to kind of the more mountainy, dry, arid areas of Colombia, and this was just blooming beautifully at the Airbnb that we were staying at. Definitely one that I want to see if I can grow successfully in Pennsylvania. All right, so like I was saying, you'll find a lot of different flowering plants sold all at the same time, which you really wouldn't see. So here we're seeing roses mixed with chrysanthemum and some of our Asiatic lilies. Generally, I don't think you would find all of those blooming together at a box store in any particular month in America, but here they are. So just like back stateside, you find some colored succulents that have been spray painted. I guess they don't look super, I don't know, maybe they're popular here. They're not super popular back in the States. Also, the air plant trend has officially hit Colombia, so that's good news. So one of my favorite plants that I had never seen before in real life, in person, before traveling here to Bogota is papyrus. So the papyrus is like, you know, ancient Egyptians, the way that they made paper for the Egyptian scrolls that were packed into the tombs and the big pyramids. They made that paper out, I guess the paper scrolls out of papyrus. And actually what you would do is you take like the stems, from what I understand, you take the stems and you kind of macerate them, mash them up, and then you lay them flat, and as they dry, they become a material that you can actually write on. So this is what papyrus looks like. It's a very moisture-loving plant. In, like, you know, you can imagine them growing by the banks of the Nile River. Here, because it rains like every single day, it's quite a suitable climate. So one thing that I've noticed here, which I absolutely love, that I don't think I've ever noticed in a box store in America, is that pretty much all of the plants are labeled with their scientific Latin names. So if you didn't know, you know, maybe it just says mint. Well, here you can also see that it's Mentha sativa. I find super helpful, you know, if you're looking to find really specific species of plants, and you don't have the scientific Latin name, it can be a major problem. At least that's, maybe that I'm just a plant nerd. But if you are curious, like how much are plants actually, how much do they actually cost? So here we have Romero, Rose Marinus officinalis, and this is going to cost about $1.75 for this. I guess this would be like a 4 or 5 inch pot. So you can see plants are very, very inexpensive. And then if you're wondering about maybe a larger pot, in evergreen conifers, those cost a lot back in America. This cupressus is going for around $12 for this large plant. Pretty amazing prices. You can create a veritable jungle here in Colombia for a pretty decent price. So I don't know if I had mentioned yet, but the orchid, I can't remember specifically which orchid is the national flower of Colombia. So you find orchids all over the place, and they're actually quite expensive here, just like they are in America. But something that is really cool about this box store in particular is that amongst all of your kind of average humdrum, average Joe plants, like, okay, these are orchids you would find anywhere, they also have some really unique, beautiful catches, like this guy right here. This right here is a gorgeous Cymbidium. I don't think I would ever find this at a box store. Maybe in Florida, I don't know. But in Pennsylvania, I've never seen any orchids at box stores that are quite this beautiful. Check this guy out too. This is precious. Look at that gorgeous flower. There's so many gorgeous orchids out there. So definitely every home should have at least one. And last but not least, when I was back in the coffee region of Colombia, where all the Colombian coffee is produced, there are bromeliads growing in just about every single tree, honestly. So you can imagine bromeliads in Colombia are spectacular. Look at the variety of bromeliads that they have growing here. Very, very rich colors. Look how multicolored this is. Peaches and mangoes. Absolutely phenomenal. Thank you guys for joining me on this little trio of nursery tour here in Bogota, Colombia. I hope you enjoyed seeing some of the plant life that you can grow here in Bogota. I think it's kind of like eating a culture's cuisine, seeing their plants that they grow. Anyways, thanks for joining me here. Make sure you leave your comments. I love reading everything you guys write to me, sharing your experiences, your travels, what you've seen, what you've to what you've tried, what you've experienced. It's all so fun for me to read and to respond to. So once again, thanks for joining me here on Plant Vibrations. Stay tuned for all of our upcoming video updates, and I will catch you later. Ciao.